And we're back. PFL, last episode of the season for the tournament here. Episode 10 here. I'm joined by my man, Joey DFS. Where the champions fly. Get ready for the thrill. How are you feeling today, Joey? How you doing? And how'd you do last week?
Last week I kind of got, I should have had my parlay should have hit. I don't know what the fuck the judges were watching in that first fight. The wrestler I thought dominated and controlled and even had his strikes up. Outside of that, I'd actually have to go recap and check. I think I hit one. How about you, Billy?
I did not do well last week. I had Muhammad Ali's grandson by knockout rounds 1 or 2. He ended up getting the third round finish. And then I had Liz Kalmouche and Gadi Rabadanov, who ended up losing that decision to Alfie Davis there, a whatever type of decision. Got to be a little bit careful when you're playing chalk like that. And then I had that busted up all the parlays for me there at the end of the night. It was one of those type of days.
I remember my bet now. I don't know if you placed it, but I know I placed it. Chris Mixon plus 200 on the dog. I don't know why I was blanking that name so fucking bad, but yeah, Chris Mixon hit. Was it a questionable stoppage? Maybe just a TV, but guess what? My pockets appreciate it. But yeah, outside of that, my parlay should have hit. A bad split decision in the first fight with Diggs, but plenty of good opportunities on this card to get the money back.
Yeah, I wasn't too fond of that PFL card, so I didn't really go too crazy, but I'm fond of this one here. We're going down to Hollywood, Florida here, and we're going to first fight of the night, JP St. Louis versus Tyler Ray. Let's get the start united. Let's get the night started here. Joey, I'll let you take this one away. Are you going with the Orlando boy, or are you going with Tyler Ray, the Kill Cliff FC prospect?
So this is a rematch from 2017 in LFA. Both guys were very green in their career. 1-1, 1-0. St. Louis actually submitted him early round 1. Tyler Ray, strong wrestler, good, decent power in the hands, okay striker. The only thing I didn't like recently that he tried to experience, and thank God he's going back down to 170. I don't understand why he decided to move up from 170 to 185. Clearly, it didn't go well. He went 0-3 during those fights. JP St. Louis, good grappler, okay striking. If he does get a hold of you by any means on your back or good positions on the bottom, he is going to be attacking submissions. 10 of 11 of his wins are inside the distance, while 8 of them are in round 1. While Tyler Ray, 6 out of 11 inside the distance, while he does have more of the overall decision wins. I'm actually going to go with the dog with good old Tyler Ray to get the redemption and get back into the win column here and make it 2 straight. I think, he's grown as a fighter since that fight. He took some upper fights at 185, and I didn't like that because, like I said, I thought he fit perfect at 170, and then he was going against guys that cut down from like 210 to 220, get down to 85, going against bigger dudes. Definitely got his ass kicked on that one, but I think he's going to get a redemption here. I think Tyler Ray, he could maybe get a later finish. 3 out of 5 losses for JP is by a knockout, maybe get some sort of later ground and pound. But I like Tyler Ray, get a redemption. It's my first dog of the night.
Yeah, I'm going to go on the other side here. I'm going to go with JP St. Louis, trading down there at Fusion XL, a camp that features fighters like Phil Rowe, Mike Davis, Terrence McKitty. You can definitely see the influence of his training partners within his game. Very aggressive, fast starter that can offensively wrestle and strike, sometimes getting a little bit too aggressive, and that's what kind of cost him in the early part of his career, suffering some knockout losses. But I think that style should suit him in this matchup here. Tyler Ray, Kill Cliff FC prospect, has fought as high as light heavyweight, but while he's well-rounded, I think he likes some of the finishing qualities that you would want to see from him at this level. Like his last fight versus Eric McConaughey, where he lost a decision. That was his 3rd consecutive loss. But he ended up breaking that streak in his last fight. If he can neutralize beating a nail in this fight, he's definitely live dog. JP St. Louis was actually a huge favorite on BetOnline on the opener. He was minus 300 before that line came crashing down. But I'm going to fade some of the line movement here, and I'm going to go with JP St. Louis for my first pick of the night. But I don't blame you, though, for going for the dog. I was kind of leaning towards the dog at first, but then the more and more I started watching his film, I think JP St. Louis is just a little bit more athletic, and that's what's going to really get him the win here. But let's go to the second fight of the night here. Josh Silveria taking on Murad Ramazanov. And while I'm rambling and scrambling, I'll take this one away. You talk about falling on hard times for Ramazanov, comes into this fight on a 3-fight losing streak, guaranteed, though. Or I should say not guaranteed. Granted, both of those losses were to Mosaev, and then he moved up to middleweight. A fight where against Aaron Jeffrey, his wrestling was just less effective than what it was before. It seemed like. Granted, Aaron Jeffrey's a good fighter in his own right, but Silveria in this matchup, son of the American Top Team owner, should be able to defend the takedowns easily in this spot, in my opinion. If not, I think he should be able to work his own wrestling in himself. He fought at light heavyweight since coming to the PFL, but he was the LFA 2-weight champion. Coming back down to 185 for this tournament. That Fabian Edwards spot was just a little bit too much evasiveness in the striking here for Fabian Edwards. He should be able to get the better of the striking exchanges in this matchup, though, against Murad Ramazanov. The price tag should be flipped. I think Josh Silveria should be the slight favorite here, and that's going to be my first dog pick of the night.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I thought the line is kind of high, but for the love of God, I wish Ramazanov went down to 170 again. You know, he's going against a lot of bigger dudes at 185 that cut down to get down to 85. And look, people say, oh, you know, he's on a 3-fight losing streak. As you said, he lost to one of the better 170ers in the world who's not in the fucking UFC. And then the split decision to Jeffrey, it was close. It could have went either way. Yeah, but I think even though I had a Ramazanov ticket that night, I see why Jeffrey won. He stuffed a lot of takedowns, did some damage. If I'm Silveria here, I'm actually going to try to keep him on the feet. Even though I know he can definitely do work on the ground also, I think he could piece up Ramazanov here. To me, I do agree. I think the line should be flipped or at least a pick 'em. To me, it's a dog or pass fight. But I don't know why. I'm going to slightly go Ramazanov. No confidence, really. I'm not betting. But if you told me you put a bet on Silveria here, I'm not going to hate it, and I won't talk you off it.
Yeah, I think the weight class thing is going to be huge. I don't think Ramazanov's a middleweight, and I don't think Josh Silveria is a big-ass middleweight. So I think the size is just going to play towards his favor. But let's talk about this next fight of the night. Two big boys here. Sergey Bagostiani taking on Carl Williams. Joe, take this one away while you're on the mic.
Yeah, sure will, my brother. Striker versus wrestler here. Depends on whose game plan can really stick out. If Carl Williams can really get the wrestling going, which it looks like he really hasn't as of late. A lot of people have been timing his takedowns, and we've been seeing Carl Williams trying to strike. As you just said, try to strike. He's not the best striker on the feet, but if he does clinch you up, he can definitely hold you on against a cage. Sergey, I'll say this. I loved him in Bellator because he used to get finish after finish after finish. Hot take. He knocks out Carl Williams this fucking tomorrow night. I'm telling you, Carl Williams, as of late, if you watch his fights, he is extremely fucking hittable, especially when he cannot get close to the distance and get the wrestling going. And I can guarantee, outside of Janata Denise, who I thought he could have got him out of there, Sergey doesn't play with his fucking food like Janata did. Sergey, if he knows that you're drowning and he sees you hurt, he is going to go for the kill. And I think we're going to see Sergey's first knockout inside the PFL.
And that's why I love doing the videos with you. I'm right there with you. I like the Sergey Bagostiani line a lot here on the money line. Usually former UFC fighters get the respect of the odds makers going into their PFL fights, and Carl Williams got cut from the UFC for a reason. Very lackluster, flat-footed striker, has adequate wrestling, but that's the way he tries to win fights. Sergey's one of Fedor's prospects from his gym. He's given a good account of himself since coming over to the PFL, picking up a win against former UFC fighter Bagoy Ivanov, who I believe never been finished by knockout before, and then a redemption win over Tyrell Fortune, his only loss that he had over there in Bellator. The Maladowski fight was just a bad stylistic matchup for him. His wrestling, though, I think is going to be good enough to defend Carl Williams' takedowns, and on the feet, this should be a fight where he can excel and style, finding the chin of Carl Williams. I don't know if he gets the knockout or not. I think he could definitely get the knockout, and that's the reason why I really like the money line. I think he's going to defend these takedowns. I think he's going to throw some bombs, and I think Sergey Bagasini is going to run away with this fight here. But let's move into the next one. This is the biggest favorite of the card this weekend, and we'll talk about it. Rasul Magomedov versus Jeremy Viana. Another Bahrainian prospect here coming into the PFL. The girl was, I believe, minus 1,600 last week, and we're getting a copy-paste price tag here. Another Bahrainian who's coming in, and I believe Viana is on short notice as well. This was not the original matchup. Rafael Xavier is supposed to be the opponent here.
Yeah, one thing I always say is I may suck with names, but I always remember faces. You'd have to go way back. The last time I actually watched a Viana fight, he was on season 3 of Tough Brazil, and he ended up losing to the eventual winner, Shoeface Carlos Jr. And when I saw that name, I was like, "Dang, that motherfucker's still fighting!" Like, don't ask me why. I'm a degent. I watch every stuff. I don't care if I got subtitles. I watch them all. God damn it! That's why I always remember faces. Rasul, I think he's another guy that's just gonna potentially get the takedown, do his work. One of his good main training partners is Islam. So, and I think you'll see a little bit in his game, but to make it easy night, he's going to probably close the distance, get the takedowns, loosen him up, and at some point he might finish him inside the distance.
Yeah, this is the widest price tag on the card with Viana being on short notice. Magomedov is originally slated to fight Rafael Xavier, a way tougher stylistic matchup. He should be able to pass this test 3 times. I am MAF world champion before heading pro, where they've kind of given him some softer matchups. 14-9 combined opponent record. Would like to see that a little bit more higher. Viana is a longtime Glover Teixeira MMA fitness fighter who took a very, very, very long extended retirement once Bellator cut him. He got knocked out by Felipe Lins. I believe that was one of his last fights before he went over to the UFC. And he went on, I believe, almost a decade, like 8 to 9 years hiatus from the sport. Came back last year, was able to pick up some wins in impressive fashion. Granted, I believe that was the Northeast Boston regional scene, a scene that I'm not really too fond of. I guess he's trying to refine that drive and hunger, but the good old saying in MMA is once you think you're retiring or you step away from the game, the closer to the exit door you are, the less reliable you will be. And it's been a while since he's had a young, hungry prospect inside the cage with him. And I think Rasul Magomedov is going to win this fight. But the one thing to note for this fight, Viana is a big motherfucker, man. 6'1" compared to 5'10", which is 5'10" is pretty small for, I should say, pretty short for light heavyweight. But I think Rasul Magomedov wins this fight pretty cleanly.
I'd say by submission.
By submission?
Yeah, I'm gonna lean submission.
Submission? All right.
I'm gonna loosen him up with ground and pound, and he's gonna get the neck.
I'll let you take this one away here, Joey. Impa Kasanganay, Andrew Sanchez. He texted me about this one. I know you're excited for it.
Yeah, I'm an Impa guy, man. If I could find my my black cowboy hat, I'd pull it out for him. But yeah, Impa, I'm mad the UFC still got rid of him. But hey, look at him now. He's doing pretty well for himself. A well-rounded fighter, but he does prefer to stay it on the feet, throw hands, throw bombs. If anyone that doesn't know who Andrew Sanchez is, he originally won the Ultimate Fighter season. I think that was the Claudia and Joanna season where he beat Khalil Roundtree. You know, strong wrestler, but throughout his career, one thing that you know about him, if you touch his chin, there's a good chance you could shut his lights out. If he doesn't get knocked out, I give him credit. You know, he's always game. He does bring forward pressure, but I didn't even know he was still fighting. I really didn't until I saw Andrew Sanchez. But yeah, I think I got Impa here. That's my dude. I'll pick him every fight. Billy can probably tell you. I don't care who the fuck he fought. I picked Impa. And yeah, Impa's a minus 600 on the money line. Could he get a knockout? He could. I think, you know, he's on a 2-fight losing streak. But during that time, he was fighting a lot. So he was down the stretch like fight, fight. It seemed like he was fighting almost every other month. He finally got a little break. He got to take a little breather. And now he's getting, I don't want to use the word tune-up to be disrespectful, but it's almost like a tune-up fight to where you're like Ohio State playing Alcorn State University, where you know for a fact that you can win by 50 and cover the spread. And I think Impa easily covers the spread if you want to go in that term. But
well, you can actually bet spreads in MMA. So
I can. Not in my book. If I could, I would. But yeah, I got Impa here. I think eventually, maybe not round one, but if he does it round one, I'd be cool with it. I think he can knock out Sanchez here. Like, Sanchez hasn't been the most active, and I think if he can't get the takedown early, it's just going to be a matter of time where Impa's eyes slowly open, and he finds a kill shot.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where, like, Impa's been the definition, I would say, of, like, a company man for the PFL. It took 6 fights in the last 2 years since he won that light heavyweight belt. So after winning $1 million, he's still fighting like a dog, cutting down to middleweight for this season. It seemed like all that caught up to him coming off of back-to-back losses, which were brutal knockouts. In this matchup, though, versus Sanchez, this is such a nice layup spot for him. He needs to get the confidence rolling and the momentum back in his side, and Sanchez is the perfect dance partner for it, former UFC fighter. He used to be a wrestler back in the day. Like when you were talking about the Ultimate Fighter, he used to wrestle a lot. Now, what'd you say?
I said he used to wrestle fuck everybody.
Yeah, he used to wrestle fuck everybody, but like I feel like in his older days, he's became like just a rangy striker. He tries to fight out the clinch and stuff like that, and his chin is just decimated. A little bit older than the age. I would say in fight years, he's older than the age 37. He's gotten a lot of wear and tear. 6 out of his 8 losses have been by knockout. This is a good spot for Impa to bounce back in the win column. I like the money line. I like the knockout prop rounds 2, 3 for this one. A lot of Andrew Sanchez's knockouts are in round 3. And I also like what you said, the spread. I don't know how we're going to find that or when we're going to get that available to us, but I do like Impa Kasanganay minus 3.5 on the spread. I think you can get a knockout or win a unanimous decision 30-27 across all 3 judges' scorecards. This is a great spot for him to bounce back in the win column. Hopefully he can get the job done and that chin isn't completely dusted. This is like the battle of the chins. And I think Andrew Sanchez's chin is way more dusted than Impa Kasanganay's. I think Impa Kasanganay's chin issues were just accumulation of too many fights in a short amount of time. Dude went from homeless to winning $1 million in a year, and he said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna still grind." And ended up just the weight cuts and stuff like that. Like we haven't seen Impa fight at middleweight since the UFC coming into the season. The Fabian Evers fight, though, was fucking great, man. That was one of my favorite fights. But I think the market has finally corrected itself a little bit on Impa Kasanganay fights, and we're getting even at the number at minus 530. I think there's still a little meat left on the bone in this.
Damn, I wish I had minus 530. Actually, I got minus 6, but I'm still parlaying that bitch.
Yeah, like I think there's a little bit meat left on the bone in this. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about this next one. This is one of my favorite. This isn't the next fight. This is a different fight. Bryce Meredith versus Lazaro Dayron. I'm just going to say Bryce Meredith versus Dayron. And I'll take this one away here. This fight is going to be a high-level fight. Undefeated grapplers throwing down Meredith, 3-time All-American wrestler who made the transition over to MMA, getting signed by Bellator pretty early after his LFA run. He was able to pick up some easy wins with his physical imposing wrestling game style. The holes, though, in this game has been in the striking, very lackluster in the stand-up, and that's something that's going to come out and haunt him in this fight. He won't be able to offensively wrestle Dayron the whole entire time, as Dayron's a Cuban Olympic wrestler, and he showed why he's a force to be reckoned with when he fought Danny Sapatello, an American folk-style wrestler who was not able to control him, and he got damaged on the feet badly in that fight, which what I would say is one of the more generous draw decisions I ever been a part of in my life. I thought Danny Sapatello smooth, clearly lost that fucking fight. And I could see this fight playing out very similarly with Meredith failing to get takedowns and Dayron battering up on the feet. This line opened up with Dayron at plus 152, and now he is the betting favorite, I believe, at minus, what was it? Give me 2 seconds. So the line went from plus 152 to minus 130 for Dayron, and Bryce Meredith is now the short betting underdog. I remember you asked me before the show started what was the line on this fight, And what do you think about the line movement, and who's your pick for this one?
I don't know too much about Bryce Meredith. The only thing I do know is, and the only reason why I know who the fuck he is, I do watch college wrestling, and he's a good old Wyoming cowboy. That's the only reason why I know who the fuck he is. Hey, man, he did work in Wyoming. The only reason why I knew who Dayron was, I had money, but I got my money back, so thank the Lord. I had a parlay with like Sabatello and somebody else, and I'm like, Sabatello got the range. Sabatello got this. Yeah, he's a good wrestler, takedown. I'm like, who the fuck is this little bastard fucking staying with Sabatello? And he was a plus 540 in that fight. Yeah. And I'm like, man, Sabatello's going to smoke him. Maybe he'll get a sub. And then I'm like, and I even thought Sabatello lost. But when I got my money back.
Sabatello, and I thought he lost, clearly.
Yeah. I do think Lazario has more on the feet. I still think both guys have good potential careers going forward. Now I know how the line flipped. I'm slightly going Lazario Dayron, but I don't got a good lean as a bet. But I'm picking Lazario as a pick.
I like it. Let's shout out to chat, though. Chat has been live and direct. Shouts to everybody that has joined with us. We have AM, a new member of the family. Make sure you check out that new stuff that we have for the memberships, like the Pub Sports Radio contest. Shouts to WT becoming a members. We got Gerardo Hernandez in the building. And then the spawn of Low Shacks is what up, G. And then PFL LFA road to UFC Shanghai, China. Shanghai is going to be lit this weekend. Make sure you guys join us live Saturday morning, 3 a.m. Yes, you heard that. 3 a.m. before the college football show comes back. Boys are going to be live and direct. Shouts to Gabe Ballers in the building. Gabe Ballers. I love that name. Andrew G says Silveria can grapple very well, and he's a dog. Give me the favorites, says Gabe. He was going with it's a trap line. Nuke Worker says, smash the like button, fellas. Shouts to Nuke Worker. Can't wait for football season. It's right around the corner, and we're going to be chilling on the live streams. That's why you guys got to hit the like and subscribe button here. And I'm right here with Gerardo Hernandez on the Bagastani parlay piece and a knockout prop. He's going with the KO prop for Rasul, and he's going with the two-legger there as well. Londo is saying Fabian Edwards, good money, a fight that we will talk about very shortly. And shouts to Alex Cruz for the very kind words. Joey, I'll let you take this one away. This is the start of the main card here, and we have Alexei Pergande versus Ethan Gross. Alexei Pergande killed my pockets with that inside distance. I was able to cast some parlays, but dude, that fight was such bullshit. That referee was on some bullshit, man. That kid dropped like 5 to 6 times, and Pergande was just beating his ass, and they wouldn't call it a knockout. One of the more frustrating bad bounces that I can remember having for a knockout prop in a while. But I'll let you take this one away. Alexei Pergande, Ethan Gross, who are you picking?
So, honestly, I know this kid's still very green. He's 6-0. Trains at a good gym in Killcliff. I know I've seen him train with Michael Chandler and a bunch of other guys out in that gym. I don't know too much about Ethan Gross. His overall level of competition really ain't the greatest. I know this is his PFL debut. He fought Bellator one time. I know he lost a decision way back down the road. How I see this fight, and if you're going to see what the line is, the line's minus 900 I got currently for Pergande. Knowing this is the last overall PFL tournament type of card, I have a feeling that the matchmakers are like, look, let's get this kid a fight to where he can finally get his finish. Oh, no, he already has 2 finishes. What the fuck I'm talking about? Let him end with a fucking finish. This dude's durability is not the greatest. 4 out of 7 losses are inside the distance for Goss. And I think at some point Pergande might rock him and then maybe sub him, or if he just takes him right down, I think there's levels on the ground, and I think Pergande could get a submission.
Yeah, the Killcliff, I call him the Killcliff FC Golden Boy. Pergande is like that new era MMA type of fighter. He has elite striking, and I would say how to describe his striking, just great patience and range distance management. Like the way that he just pulls and counters. It's very nice to watch. He's like a sniper in there. And then on the ground, he has offensive submissions that he can go to, and he can definitely take a shot on the feet as well. Sometimes you want to see these, I would say, undefeated prospects Yeah, I know if they could take a fucking punch in the face. Something I wish I would have known about Bo Nickel. He has all the tools in the kit to be the real deal, hence why the PFL has been pushing him so heavily. The one thing I would like to see or criticize him for is a little bit more of a killer instinct. And that's what he had in his last fight versus Bardsley, who was constantly getting dropped throughout the whole entire fight. And the referee gave him a very, very favorable extended leash on calling that fight. Gross has some wrestling attributes, but a lot of his wins are lower level, regional scene scrapped. And I think at such a striking disadvantage, I can see why Pergande is such a large favorite. But in comparison to the one thing that does concern me, or I should say the one thing that will make me want to bet Pergande is a very favorable line, even at minus 900 compared towards his other fights in PFL where he's been north of minus 1,000. I feel like in every one of his PFL fights, he's usually like minus 1,200, minus 1,600 and stuff like that. So this one being under minus 1,000 is a good price tag for Alexei Pergande. I think I'm going to throw it. If I just had to go off the top of my head of what we're talking about, Alexei Pergande, parlayable, Impa Kasanganay, parlayable, and probably would want to find a third dance partner to get some plus money on that for sure. But that's for the end of the show, though. But I do have to vocalize that I really like Alexei Pergande in this spot. Would you say the same?
Yeah, like if you're someone that does do parlays, just like, hey, I don't give a fuck how the motherfucker wins. Right now he's under minus 1,000, as Billy said, and I haven't seen that in a long ass fucking time. And if you're gonna do it, definitely do it at some point, because I will guarantee before the start of the card tomorrow, he's gonna be in the thousands.
100%. You think it'll be in the thousands?
I think it's high. Like I said, he's damn near what he's on the main card, right?
Yeah, I'm actually looking at a 3-legger as I digress.
So by the time he gets to the main card, if depending on how the overall action looks, people are going to load up on him as a parlay piece, and it wouldn't shock me if I see him get as high as like 1,100.
Yeah, I think he's actually going to probably. I think they're going to update the PFL stuff when they add props to the prop market, and I think that's when we're going to start seeing the Alexei Pergande line get absolutely steamed here. Shouts to fucking Layla. That's how you run that bitch down. But we go down to the light heavyweight division here. Sullivan Coley and Antonio Carlos Jr., a.k.a. Shoeface. Joey, I'll let you go again, man. You coming out with some flames tonight. You've been rolling. I would say this summer you had a really good summer of underdog picks, and this is one of the closer line picks of the night. Do people want to ride on a Joey straight bet here? What are you going to give the people? You riding with Sullivan Coley? Because you talk about a surprise performance. There's been a lot of surprise performances this year in the PFL, but the most surprise performance was Sullivan Coley beating fucking Phil Davis from pillar to post.
Yeah, I don't want to recall that. Phil Davis, my boy. That hurt my feelings a little bit, but outside of my feelings, push it to the side. I actually do give Sullivan Coley a lot of credit. His cardio held up really well in that fight with Phil Davis. He's one of Ryan Bader's main training partners, and they've been training together ever since Arizona State when they both used to wrestle. Ever since I've been doing PFL video with you, I've always found a way to pick against Carlos Jr. for some reason. No matter who the fuck he's faced. No, I'm picking him. I will say this. He definitely has the experience factor. But I still don't like his overall takedown entries. And I think it's going to be hard to get that on the hips of Coley unless he really tries to throw down and tries to clinch up and tries to backpack potentially. Or Coley decides to shoot an early takedown and then Carlos potentially gets the neck. I've been saying it ever since I've seen fighters make the finals. I like seeing this new breed, these upcoming fighters who really do step up to the moments. I'm going Sullivan Coley. I don't know if I'm going to bet him, but I will say this. Carlos Jr. is a fucking live dog. That's another dog I will not talk anyone off of. And he's had a good run. I didn't even know this. He's 8-1 in PFL. That's fucking – I didn't realize that until I was like, God damn, I know UFC, he was on and off, but –
Nah, PFL, he's been a cash cow.
Yeah, so I would say maybe potentially listen to Billy's breakdown because I can never usually get a Carlos Jr. fight right. I picked my boy Solomon Powell against him, and Carlos Jr.'s like, look, young man, you might have potential, but you're not beating me yet for my money. So
the only time I ever faded Carlos Jr. was that last fight against Sami and Powell, and I definitely paid for it. This is a tough fight to call, though, with Coley showing that. I feel like Coley, it's hard to really rate his film too much because the guy that we saw against Phil Davis, I think he's leveled up, man. That was the most surprise performance this year. Not only just beating him, but beating soundly. Unanimous decision. It was a coming out party, his first decision win of his career, and he won it in impressive fashion like he's been there before. He showed he's taken the next step. ACJ, a.k.a. Shoeface, former UFC fighter, former PFL champion, has given a good account of himself this year, beating rising prospect Sami and Powell in his last fight. However, when he's not able to be the hammer and he's new and his offensive wrestling is neutralized, the reckless striking that he has is just comes out, man. Like he just throws a reckless abandon because he knows that he doesn't give a fuck about being taken down because that's where he's trying to have the fight go to the ground in the first place. But the Alex Bellizzi fight kind of comes in the brain here. We talk about back cardio. The blueprint is out to be ACJ, man. It's easier said than done, but Coley is the pick. Not the most confident pick for me, but I think Coley is I thought I was gonna go ACJ, but Coley's actually the pick for me. I think he's gonna be able to win this fight. Where is
Romanov? So, oh, they're the co-main.
Co-main now?
Yeah. Bless you.
And that's the fight that we're gonna go to right now. I was just thinking, when are we talking about this fight? Alexei Romanov. What'd you say, Joe?
No, for some reason, for the longest time, they had it on the fucking prelim. And then they finally moved it the fuck up. It's like, oh, yeah, this is a fucking final match. We got to get you up.
Alexander Romanov versus Oleg Popov. And let's pop this bitch off and really talk about it. Popov was a fighter with a lot of hype coming into PFL. I believe it was an 18-fight win streak that he had heading into PFL's last year's final, where I backed him against Denis Gosov. That was the first red flag performance for me that really not entertaining at all. Often just kind of leaning on his opponent against the cage to get takedowns, to working them out. The PFL has given him very favorable matchups, and while he's winning these fights, it's just not in the most impressive fashion. And that's where the win margin of victories are just getting thinner and thinner. The fight versus Carl Williams was a gifted decision from the fucking gods that we ended up getting that one through the hoop. Romanov made the seamless transition over into PFL, getting Tim Johnson in his promotional debut, a very easy matchup. And then he got bailed out in his last fight versus Molodowski, a fight where no contest led him to advancing towards the championship. He's a very fast starter, all gas, no breaks in the first round. He's a great hammer, but a bad nail. In this matchup, though, my hot take is I think Romanov defends the takedown early, and he's able to impose his own will and start to get into Popov's head, and his confidence starts going down when he's not able to get takedowns. This price tag is way too wide for me. I think Romanov rarely loses first rounds of fights. Alexander Romanov is going to be the parlay buster here, and I think he's going to win the heavyweight title. What are your thoughts and opinions? This is actually probably one of my more I thought I was going to pick Popov, but I'm actually starting to be a little bit more convicted on the Alexander Romanov side.
Look, I got lucky with that Romanov flag. I planted it. Look, during the time it was a win, I got my money. Oh, well, they changed it to a no contest. I think if Romanov does win this, it's going to be early. I think it's going to be within
inside a distance.
You say inside the distance?
It has to be inside a distance.
I think one of these two are going to lose inside the distance. I think if it's early, maybe within the 7.5, 8 minute mark, Romanov could potentially get Popov out of there. But afterwards, if Romanov's cardio is not on point, that's where I do think Popov could potentially take the fight over. I like this fight more as a potential live bet. If you're on Romanov, hey, if you think Romanov wins inside the first 2 rounds, take the money line now. It's a plus 165. You're getting good odds. And unless you like the inside the distance, I do think this fight does get finished. I'm going to watch how this fight goes. I'm going Popov because I do think Romanov's going to be dangerous early. And I think I can get a better line after round 1 or maybe in the middle of round 2 for Popov, depending on how Romanov's cardio goes. But that's more my lean. I thought going in, I was going to have Popov in parlays. And who knows, maybe I'll have him in a small 2-leg. I was going to think about, hey, I always like to try to put all my favorites as picks and do a parlay. I'm not going to do that with Popov because I'm low-key going to be a bitch about that. But I do got Popov slightly. I just maybe I can get a better line as a live bet. I do think this could be. I think Popov should be the favorite. Maybe like a minus 130, 140. I'm kind of shocked at the line. He's at minus 200 now. My slight lean's Popov though.
I feel you, but I also feel like this could be just a bookie trap here. Like that line was minus 250. This came down to 215, down to 200 in some places. Like they're just like they're inviting you to bet Oleg Popov, and that's where the red flag goes. But let's talk about the main event here. Fabian, Edwards, Dalton, and Rosta. Why we're all here. Hollywood, Florida. The stars are coming out. Somebody's star is going to shine bright. Who are you picking in this one, Joe?
So I will say this. I was happy I saw Thad Gene. When I first heard about the card, I said I either want to see Thad Gene or I want to see the Edwards and Rosta fight. That was one of the two I was hoping for. I got Thad Gene. I was happy as fuck. So one thing I'll notice is going to be your striker versus wrestler. Fabian, all credits. I've always somehow picked against him too. But when I have, I usually been winning. And one thing I actually noticed after I did my research, Fabian has not had good luck outside of Silveria. He has not had good luck versus fighters in the American Top Team. He really the hell hasn't. And the good benefit for Rosta, he does train American Top Team. And you know who does have good history versus Edwards? That man Johnny Eblen. And I can guarantee Dalton was definitely getting some input from Johnny Eblen in this fight. Rosta, I picked him in every single fight. He was my flag versus Sai. And I remember when you were talking, he's like, man, he's going to win a decision. I did not expect him to get a fucking head and arm choke, and he put his ass to sleep. Then I had Rosta versus Jeffrey. Could have went either way. I slightly gave it to Rosta. But I remember you telling me when I was undecided versus my boy, who was it? Storley. I was like, man, maybe I'll pick Storley. Gene. I stuck with the guy that's making me money this whole goddamn fucking tournament. And with that being fucking said, if you motherfuckers know that I said on Tuesday I was going to have a fucking flag for this fucking card, the flag is now, goddamn it. And you know what flag that is? It's the flag of fucking United States of America of Mr. Dalton Rosta plus 145. I'm telling you, I think he's going to hit Edwards at power. Then he's going to take him down. He's going to loosen him up with ground and pound. And at some point in the fight, I think Rosta's going to get his fucking submission. I'm feeling submissions on this card. I really am. I think he's going to loosen up. Edwards does have good enough get-up game where I think he can get up, battle maybe some underhooks early. But I think Rosta's too goddamn fucking strong. And I think Rosta is going to get that Millie, baby.
Go get that Millie Dalton Hercules Rosta. This is going to be a banger type of fight. But I would say this is probably one of the most straightforward breakdowns that you're going to get of the card. Striker versus grappler matchup to the truest of being Fabian, brother of Leon Edwards, has very similar fighting styles, and he's proven his worth in the PFL with some impressive performances this season, and he's been able to show why he's a level ahead of some of these rising prospects, hence why he's the favorite in this one. This is going to be Dalton Rosta's toughest test, but that's been a common theme that's been used throughout his fights throughout the whole entire season. Every time he fights inside the cage, it's his toughest test next. He talks a big game, and it's a very interesting fighting style when he's entertaining inside the cage. The blueprint is out to beat the Edwards family just in general. It's that relentless wrestling. And Rosta's striking improvements and cardio dynamic change has really improved, and I think he's going to get a finish in this final. This could be the real coming out party for him. If he can take this test and pass this test, this is going to be a 5-round war. But I think Rosta's wrestling game could be prevalent enough once again, and he could potentially find a finish in this championship fight on the ground. But I'm going to go with Dalton Rosta by I don't know, man. I'm just going to go on the money line. I don't want to hit this.
Go with the money line. Be safe. If you're safe, because look, play the money line. You're getting a good line on this. Some lines say plus 145. As Gerardo said, line moved from plus 145, plus 170. If you get that line, play that bitch. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, my boy is going to end the season and keeping that millie with no tax in the state of Florida right in that motherfucker's bank account.
I like the confidence, I like the charisma, and I like the pick as well. Let's go with Dalton Rosta. But let's do a quick review over the card right now. If you guys haven't been with us already, make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button. First pick, me and Joey went opposite directions. I like JP St. Louis to beat Tyler Ray. Joey liked Tyler Ray to beat JP St. Louis. I'm going with the Orlando, Florida boy. And we're also opposite on the next pick. Joey, slight confidence on Murad Ramazanov, or I should say the pick was Ramazanov. I was a little bit more confident in the Josh Silveria line. We both like Sergey Bilostenniy here in this fight against Carl Williams, the Rasul Magomedov biggest favorite of the card, and deservedly so. I don't think we're going to really fuck around with it, though, because Impa Kasanganay is fighting Andrew Sanchez. Both of us think it's a bounce-back spot. The next fight, you went slight Dayron, right?
I went slight Dayron.
Okay, yeah, I went Dayron as well. Alexei Pergande, both of us picked him. And I picked Sullivan Coley. Did you go with Sullivan Coley at the end?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, because the breakdown was kind of confusing to me. But
it was like I never really picked Carlos, and then Carlos like, "Yo, motherfucker, keep betting against me." And then I'm like, "Hey."
Romanov. I like Romanov here against Popov, and we both like Dalton Rosta as Joey's flag plant of the week. What props did you are you looking for here, if you could think of any on these fights, even if it is SGP?
So one thing I'll say is if St. Louis wins, I think he does get it done inside the distance. I think he could definitely get another sub. Ray's been sub round one by him before. It could happen again, potentially. So, but if Ray does win, I think there's a chance he wins by decision, a close decision, maybe with control, ground and pound. St. Louis is 1-2 on the decision. My man Sergey, I'm telling you, one of these fights, we're gonna see a highly rated knockout from him. And if Carl Williams doesn't get the wrestling, so long, farewell to you, my friend. Magomedov, I do think he's gonna have to get the takedowns, and I think he is, like I said, biggest favorite inside the distance. Is probably gonna be Juice, but if I was to pick one, you're probably gonna get minus money on the sub. Impa, I like him as a parlay piece. But this is also a spot to where, like, Impa could eventually get the knockouts, as you broke down, round 2, round 3. Dayron, I'm waiting for the line to come onto my book, and I'm going to have to actually go back to watch more. I still like him. Pergande, this looks like a setup. Like, get this kid another finish win. Coley, I give him credit, man. He looked good against my boy Phil Davis. Still hurts my feelings to this day. Romanov, if you're on Romanov, good money line, plus money. If he does win, it's probably within the first 8 minutes or so. So inside the distance probably looks clean. But if you're on the pop-up side like I'm leaning, maybe wait until after round 1 to see if Romanov really does bring that pace. Because I don't agree with the minus 200 on pop-off. And you could probably get a better line as a straight bet. That's more my lean. I did that exactly with he ended up beating the Russian last week. Davis. I did Davis versus Primus. I didn't like that line. I caught the line live with Davis. And I think that's something similar I could potentially do with Popov. And then, Billy knew. Anyone that did know me knew. I'm not picking against my boy Rosta, bro. That's a bad motherfucker. I'm telling you that right now. And he's going to keep that millie in the USA.
I like the charisma and I like the confidence. Make sure you follow Joey DFS at Joey DFS Betting. And you can follow me over on X at gettingbills_pubsportsradio.com. Is where you could see the picks for the PFL website. Once we post those props, I'll probably start firing off on everything here. But Joey, what do you got going on for the weekend? Where can they find you, and what you got? All the good shit.
Oh yeah, most def. Before I do that though, I'm gonna give out a parlay I really do like. And I actually give credit. Somebody already said it as a 2-leg, and I'm gonna give credit to my boy Gerardo. I believe he said Sergey and Impa. It's a 2-leg, minus 134. I really like Sergey in this matchup. I'm actually shocked the line's not higher because I don't think Carl Williams saw that. And then Impa, bounce back spot. I know Billy was looking around for some parlays. If you want to try to get plus money, depending on what book you got, if you add Pergande, I don't get plus money, but I get minus 106 as a 3-leg.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with my 3-leg as well. I think that's going to be the 3-leg of the show. Alexei Pergande, Impa Kasanganay, Sergey Bagostiani plus 104.
Yeah, that can definitely be. Oh, MMA Locker Room Mills.
Shout out to Billy Mills. You could catch his PFL main card video that went live right before this, as well as we have you covered for all regional scene events for this week. And we're rolling into UFC Shanghai. Make sure you join us Saturday live, 3 a.m. But till next time here at Pub Sports Radio, you can join us. I believe it's going to be a championship card the next time we break down a PFL card. It's going to be a while from now, but till next time, we out.